Thank you. Jai Ma, Jai Jagannath, thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk about Hinduism and Vedic knowledge, so it can be beneficial for more people. And now we start from the basics. From the difference between Vedic knowledge, Hinduism, and the general culture, the dominant culture, which is Abrahamic based. Means Christian mostly regarding Europe, but also Muslim and Jewish, because that's the same tree. There are three branches of the same tree, because they're all based on this guy, this character named Abraham. That's why they're called Abrahamic. This guy Abraham, which looks like he was a fictional character, but in the Old Testament of the Bible. But anyway, this guy Abraham started the whole shebang by making a pact, an agreement, a testament, an alliance with an entity that is called the God of the Bible. And the various names usually is called Yahweh or Jehovah, but he's generally also called like El, Adonai, Shaddam, stuff like that. But it's always the same entity, because they all recognize Abraham as the starter, the one who started this basic ideology, basic religion. And what is the pact between Abraham and Yahweh, Jehovah? It is, Jehovah said, okay, if you and your descendants, the people who follow you, who are from your family, your descendants and everything, give allegiance to me, worship only me, obey only me, and no one else, you will be my chosen people, my special chosen people. I will give you power over all the other peoples. I will give you power over the entire earth. And you will be entitled to take whatever you want, property, people, slaves, whatever, And because this is my order. And I give you a land that is called Canaan. And this is the promised land. I promised this land to you. You go there, you kill all the people who live there, and you take that land for yourself.
Mataji,
yes.
I have a question.
Please.
Who gave that powers to Abraham?
It's not exactly a power, it's a pact. Gave the order to do that, power, Yahweh. What is called God by the Christians in the Bible, Old Testament, New Testament. Yahweh, Jehovah.
Yeah.
Now, if you read the Old Testament, the ancient part of the Bible, you'll see that this Jehovah is not a very good person. He is totally okay with genocide. Even himself is killing a lot of people, innocent people. Destroy, because he's not happy how his creation came out. So he's destroying everyone with a great flood, right? Children and even animals. Because he's not happy with his work, because he created them, now he's not happy, and so he's destroying them. And, the same thing, he created, said in the beginning, the Bible said that God, this Jehovah guy, created man and put the man in his garden to work for him. And he told him not to eat from the tree of knowledge. Because if he got the proper knowledge, he would become like God. Which, one thinks, okay, God is very good, so why don't we want to become very good? And knowledge, what's wrong with knowledge? So Adam and Eve ate this fruit of knowledge, and Jehovah got so angry that he kicked them out and cursed them. And this is called the original sin, because they disobeyed God by wanting to get knowledge and become as good as God. Very good people. So you understand that the entire mentality, the entire concept of God that is in general mentality of the people today at global level is, pretty awful. So the idea is that if you want to be in the good graces of this Jehovah, you have to worship him, offer sacrifices, usually blood sacrifices. Like if you read the Old Testament, after Abraham came Moses. Moses got the 10 Commandments, but not just 10, actually got something like 527 commandments. And the most important that is repeated several times in the Old Testament is that all the firstborn of the people, both human and animal, must be brought to the temple of Jehovah and killed. Their throat must be cut and their body must be burnt. All of them. Because if they do that, Jehovah will forgive all the other sins. If they got a son, and they don't want to have him killed, they have to take him to the temple anyway, and they have to pay the ransom. They need to buy him back from the temple. So then there is a catalog of prices, so for a male child, human child, you have to pay this much. For a female human child, you have to pay less, but still you have to pay. Or you can substitute your child with the lamb. Now, we are in the Easter period now, right? You know Easter.
Yeah.
The Holy Week, in the Good Friday. Yesterday was a Good Friday. Because the Christians celebrate this as Jesus taking the place of the lamb and getting himself slaughtered to please God. So that God was pleased with this blood sacrifice and suffering and humiliation and everything, will forgive other sins, other people's sins, whatever sins. So, this kind of God is not the God that is envisioned in the Hindu Vedic tradition. The Hindu Vedic knowledge says that God doesn't want any blood sacrifice, doesn't care about the sins of people, doesn't care if the people worship him or pray to him or whatever, because people will get their karma. The point is that the Christians and Abrahamics in general, they think that if you pray God, if you please God, then God will do special things for you, miracles for you. Like you don't study for your exams, but you pray God a lot, So you're going to pass the exam even if you didn't study anything. This is stupid. And it is obviously not keeping into consideration the natural law of karma, cause and effect. If you don't study, you're not going to pass the exam. Doesn't matter how many prayers you do, how much faith you have, how much, I don't know, whatever. If you don't study, you don't pass the exam. Full stop. There will be other circumstances. God can help you by giving you encouragement, guidance, because God is always available to help. And God can also give you protection in the sense that when you meditate on God, you connect with God. So you participate to the power of God. Like, let's say God is the fire. And you are a piece of iron, a spoon. Okay? If you put a metal spoon into the fire, the metal spoon will become hot and work like fire. It is not that God is giving you a special blessing that whatever you touch will burn. It's just the energy. You are in touch with the energy of God, and you're going to burn the stuff you touch. You understand? Mm-hmm. You see the difference. So, when we connect with God, we get God's energy in the form of knowledge, realization, happiness, consciousness, awareness, and power, and energy, in the sense of energy. You can do things, your body, your mind become full of energy, divine energy. So you understand how important it is to meditate on God, to be in connection with God, in order to have the proper energy, the proper protection, not because you pray to God, that God will somehow give you some special blessing, special protection. No, just because you get in touch with God, in contact with God. Now, to get in contact with God, we need to know what God is. How you think about God if you don't know what God is? What is the name? What are the names, the forms, the activities, the qualities, and all that? That is called meditation. Now, most people think that meditation is just relaxing, watching your breathing, and maybe chant some sound that they call mantra, and let the mind go free wherever it wants to go. That is not meditation, that is relaxation. Relaxation is a step before meditation. Meditation means to control one's mind, to focus one's mind, the mind, on some specific point. So you know about yoga, you heard about yoga. Okay, so what are the 8 parts of yoga? Did you hear about the 8 parts of yoga? The Ashtanga? No. Okay. Dal? No.
I just know more knowledge about Lujong is kind of Tibetan yoga.
Sorry?
I just know about Lujong, not specific about yoga, the Hindu.
No, we are talking about yoga. Whatever other system, method, whatever is okay. I mean, I'm not expert in that, so I'm not going to talk about that. No, I'm talking about yoga.
I've not heard either.
Okay.
I haven't heard either, yeah. But...
Okay. So, the 8 parts of yoga, okay, I'll give you the technical Sanskrit name and then I will explain what it means. So the first 2 parts, the first 2 angas of yoga are called yama and niyama. Yama means things you should not do. Niyama means things you should do. So basically they are general rules or principles for a lifestyle that supports yoga. Now, this is the first step. You know, the first 2 steps are that you should not kill animals to eat them. That is called ahimsa. This means that one should become vegetarian. Now you understand why the yoga teachers never talk about these 8 parts of yoga. Because if they have to tell people they must become vegetarian, they will lose 80% of their customers. So they're very quiet about that. Then one should not engage in unrestricted bodily identification, which is, generally all sexual activities. Doesn't mean that one cannot do anything, but that must be, very, very, a dharmic way, to engage in these activities. And so on and so forth. And the practices one has to apply to do is one thing is to study the scriptures, Swadhyaya. And Ishvara Pranidhana means connecting with God, developing a relationship with God, dedicating oneself to God. So these are the first 2 steps, 2 parts of yoga. Then we come to the asana part, which is the popular one. The Vinyasa yoga, the Iyengar yoga. So doing all the physical exercises, sitting and standing and doing all these kind of, acrobatic positions. Asana, but in fact, there is no need to do all these acrobatic things. 1 or 2 asanas are more than sufficient. Even the savasana means the position of the dead body is okay, which means you just lay down on your back, like we do when you go out of the body, we travel, in the astral dimension. That is adasana, it's not a problem. The next part of yoga is pranayama, which means controlling the prana. Controlling the prana is helped by breathing control. Controlling the breathing is important, but it's not all. Because the prana, and you know very well, is not just breathing. Prana is energy that circulates in the body, in all the body, not just in the lungs, in the nose and in the throat. So all over the way, even in your hands and your feet. When you do pranotherapy, you use your hands, and the prana goes through your hands. We have 6 main chakras, 7 chakras, plus a lot of other chakras, and the 2 important chakras are on the palm of our hands. These are very important chakras. They're not main. The main ones are along the spinal cord. But there are lots of other chakras around the body. If you have heard about the Chinese traditional medicine with the acupressure, acupuncture, the meridians and everything, this is coming from the science of pranayama in yoga. Now, the meridians are called nadi, in yoga. And the chakras and marmas are also points, nodes in the meridian system. So, pranayama. And that's what we do when we also do the little bit of yoga practice that helps us to do astral traveling. So we withdraw the prana from the extremities of our body and we concentrate on one chakra, this is pranayama. That doesn't depend on breathing only. And when we want to unblock some energy block in some part of the body during this process that we feel as pain or heat or whatever, then we consciously control this prana through that part of the physical body where the subtle block of energy is sitting. So we breathe through this blockage of energy. And it works. Even if it's your hand, you cannot breathe through your hand, but you can move the prana through your hand. So when we say breathe through that point, it doesn't mean that you have to actually send oxygen, air, and whatever into that part of the body, but you channel your prana and you imagine, you visualize your prana as breathing because it's vayu, it's like it's flowing, okay? And it works, we can see it works. Until now, everything is clear.
Tell. A little bit. You
Oh.
said in the first and the second steps of the parts of real yoga.
Yes.
Is me like the be vegetarian, one of them.
Yeah.
And you speak about the second one is like the sexual side.
Yeah, brahmacharya. Yeah.
Yeah. It means like then if you eat, for example, like me, if you eat the meat or whatever you want.
Yeah, non-vegetarian food, especially meat, especially the meat of large animals, like cows, horses, big animals, then it is more difficult for you to do yoga. It's not that you cannot do yoga, you can do it, but it will be more difficult.
But when you said it's more difficult, it's because you think like your body is going to be more heavy or your
body and your mind will be heavier.
Okay.
Will be more identified with your physical body. So it will be more difficult to overcome the physical identification. Now, you have, a natural ability to overcome that identification when you are doing astral traveling, when you are channeling. That you completely detach yourself from the physical body. But you can learn to control that more if you make it more conscious through the practice of the actual yoga. Like, I don't have that power because I didn't develop in previous lifetimes. But I can control it consciously. Whatever little power I have developed, I can control it consciously. You cannot. So the point is, when you control it, you can use it better. Otherwise, you will be used by the power. If you control the power, you can use the power. Otherwise, you are going to be used by the power. You see the difference?
Yeah.
But, it's not a hard and fast rule. These are, principles that you can use to improve your practice, to, become better in yoga. You can still not follow any of these principles and be able to do yoga. It's not, there is no, you don't need any document, authorization, license. You can do yoga. Anyone can do yoga, no problem. Okay. So we have come to the pranayama stage. Yama, niyama, asana, pranayama. Next one is pratyahara, which is what you do spontaneously. Which pratyahara means that you take away, you detach your physical senses from the external perceptions. It means you focus inside. Anyone who becomes very focused on something, they stop hearing what is happening around. Like, for example, you are reading something that is very interesting, and your family is calling, and you cannot hear them because you're so focused on the book you're reading, you didn't hear them. This is called pratyahara. When we do it consciously, deliberately, we can put all our focus into meditation. And we are getting nearer to the actual meditation here. Now, after pratyahara comes dharana. Dharana literally means holding steady. And you keep your mind steadily focused on one thing only. That is called dharana. We do in yoga, we do some exercises for dharana, which is, for example, called trataka, which means you look at the flame of a lamp. And you have to, flame of a lamp, a candle.
Yeah.
And you have to keep your eyes and your attention on that flame of the candle. And let's see how long you can keep it. Before your mind starts thinking about your next holidays or what you're going to cook for lunch, and, oh, I feel my back is aching, or, oh, there is a mosquito in the room. Okay. Now, you have to focus on one thing only, dharana. Laser?
No.
Laser is something that you do with light. You focus the light, and with the laser technology, you can cut very thick steel. Simply with light. Because it's very focused. So we need to tell.
This is, you mean, like, the people that need to do like the meditation about, like, for example, with the closed eyes, and the people then do meditation with the open eyes, we can still visualize the body and the prana like flowing our body.
But that is not dharana. If you want to focus on your prana, you just focus on your prana. But the purpose of meditation, which we will come here after dharana, we can actually engage in meditation, which is called dhyana. The purpose of meditation is to focus on one thing only and actually penetrate the reality of the object of our meditation. The fact that we keep our eyes open, it doesn't matter if we don't look around. We can use one image only, or we can close the eyes if it's easier. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is saying that one should focus the sight in front of one nose. Any point which is in front of one nose, you don't need to look at your nose because it's not easy. But, just in front of your nose, you just look straight on, you keep your back straight, you look straight in front of you, or you can close your eyes. It's not a big deal. The point is you have to stop perceiving the perception of our body, of your body, and your environment, because otherwise you're not doing the pratyahara right. So when you are able to focus your attention on just one specific point, that is called dharana, then you turn your attention, you turn your mind focus into yourself, your real self. You go beyond the body, beyond the mind, and that is called meditation. Yes.
Mataji, is it not helpful to have like a candle or no? Like to focus on
the candle thing? Is helping in the phase of dharana, not in the phase of dhyana. Because the candle is still something that is outside you.
Oh yeah, that's what I was thinking, yeah. Okay.
So the actual yoga, the dhyana, must be on something that is inside you, not outside. But inside you is even beyond your body.
Yeah.
You know, in the innermost self, in innermost consciousness, beyond your body, beyond your mind, on what you really are. The self, the Atman. And the Atman is not different from God. Tell.
This is, you mean, for example, if we focus in one specific chakra, then we know is blocked. Yeah?
No. We, first of all, we understand who we are, what we are.
Okay.
Because if we don't understand what we are, we can meditate on one chakra, but when we meditate on one chakra, we have to visualize the form of the personality of God that resides in that chakra. That's why we have the bija mantras. But we cannot practice that successfully unless we actually have realized what we are. That God is inside us. We are part of God. We are not different from God. We are God. Just like the metal spoon stops being a spoon, becomes fire. So the metal spoon that is red hot is aware of the heat, and it's aware that it is fire. You understand?
Yes.
So it's much more than what people think. Meditation is a very serious business. Now, the last part of yoga, that is the goal, the purpose of yoga, is called samadhi, which literally means constant awareness, constant meditation. Dhyana, sama means equal, constant. So it's constant dhyana, it's constant meditation. We are constantly aware of our nature, our self, our reality, which is God. You see how different it is from the idea that Abrahamic people have of God. You see why most people have problems in actually understanding what meditation is about. Now, yoga is connected with Tantra. And that's another place where there is a lot of confusion. Now, the word Tantra means power. So, the Tantric scriptures give us all the procedures to effect this meditation on God inside ourselves. So, for example, we mentioned the bija mantras, that we meditate on, we chant inside ourselves when we focus on the chakras, and we see the deities, we contemplate the forms of God that are specifically manifesting in that chakra. But all the bija mantras are coming from the Tantra. Tantra has all the mantras and all the yantras. The yantras are also something that is a little more complicated, but let's stay with the mantra. What is a mantra? A mantra is not just any formula, magic formula, like many people think. A mantra is a specific sound, very specific. And all these sounds are contained in the Tantra scriptures. Bija mantras are very important, but we have Maha mantras, and the names of God are also mantras. So in the Tantras we have plenty of information about the forms of God, the names of God, all the techniques that we use to meditate on the various forms of God, and so on and so forth. Is it clear until now?
Yeah.
Any questions? No. Okay. If any question comes up, please stop me and we'll go with the questions.
Okay.
Okay. Now let's go with the concept of God. I think we already started something in that direction in last meeting, but we will go over it again. Now, tell, please.
Now coming a question for my mind,
Yes.
like means when you said Tantra means power, all the pressures of meditative power of God, it means like the Tantra is a kind of stage you can connect.
It's a technique, yeah, that helps you to get to that stage.
Okay.
Yeah, gives you the way to access that power. Okay, so God. Now we discussed about how God is one. God is Satchidananda Vigraha, means eternal consciousness, omnipresent, omniscient, unlimited, omnipotent, and so on and so forth. So that means that God must be one, because if God is omnipresent, there is not one single small space where God is not there. At the same time, it's not that, sometimes Abrahamics think God is omnipresent means if you call God, God will come wherever. No, God is already there. So you cannot have many gods. Not because God will get angry if you worship someone else, like Abrahamics think, but because God is everywhere. God includes everything. There is not one
different in the different religions, like they call like different names of gods.
Yeah.
This is not means like the God is not part of hers or like inside of hers.
Okay, it depends because some religions worship some entities that are not God. Still, those entities are parts of God, like we are parts of God. So they cannot really be opposed to God. But it is not directly connected with God. Like Bhagavad Gita is saying that people who are good, who are virtuous, that are good people, righteous people, like that, they worship the devas. And the devas have some specific qualities. Bhagavad Gita chapter 16 is specifically explaining what are the qualities of the devas. And the devas are always benevolent towards all beings. They're generous. They are supportive. They're good people. Then the people who are influenced by passion, desire, greed, like that, they worship powerful entities that are called asuras. The asuras are not benevolent. They're not actually demons. Like sometimes asura is translated as demon, but they're not really demons, because there are no demons, in the Abrahamic sense. They don't exist. Okay. What the Abrahamics call demons are actually ghosts. Now, the asuras are very powerful entities that are usually transdimensional, so they can move from one dimension to the other. They're very powerful, but they're bad, they're cruel, they're evil, they're jealous. And that's what the so-called God of the Bible is. He's an asura. He's not God.
I have two questions.
Please.
When you said like God is eternal, conscious, omnipresent, unlimited.
Yeah.
Is not one single space.
Separate. Yeah.
Not a God. Everything is a God, and God is everywhere. Yeah. We are part of God.
Yeah.
When you say that asuras,
yeah,
is not a demon, they don't exist in the
exactly. Yeah, they're still parts of God.
Like that asuras is like powerful identities. They can move any dimensions. Like why we cannot say like that one is like a kind of demons or ghosts, because if they are powerful, we can move in the different dimensions and make like that different reality of
but they're not as powerful as God. They're not as powerful as the whole, the entire existence.
You said that in that case that asuras can like give to us like a different perspective of pictures, like with or we think is like good, but they have camouflaged on like the bad and the bad
exactly. Because one of the main characteristics of the asuras is that they lie, they deceive, they present things that are not real. And if you go and see in the Quran, the main character of the Quran, several times he says that, he is a great deceiver. So, it's always the same asura. Anyway, these people that were greedy, who were selfish, who want their, selfish material advantage, they tend to worship whoever appears to be powerful, and so they get some selfish advantage because they are on the same type of mentality.
And why we cannot call asuras a kind of demos too? Because if he can move in any dimensions, and if
exactly. That's why they are sometimes called demons. But the problem is that in the general mentality, the general culture, demons are a very specific type of being that is not an individual being. It's an expansion of the devil himself. The devil,
This is what you mean, like between the difference between asuras and demons.
Yes.
Is because asuras can camouflage any person and give
Yeah.
the body and in the same time make feel hers like
Yeah.
confused. But
Yeah.
demons show us automatically the correct pictures, like in the bad way.
Yeah. So in this period I have been doing some research on the Gnostic tradition, theology, ideology. I don't know if you heard about the Gnosticism, maybe not.
A little bit.
Yeah, okay. But it is a form of very early Christianity. This very early Christianity group was clearly saying that the God of the Bible is an asura, is a demon. So, but it says that this God of the Bible is a demon, but he has power over the material world, which is not what the Vedic knowledge says, because they don't have any particular power on the material world. They're just like parasites, mental parasites. They have some power, but they don't have an absolute power. Because, from time to time, God, the Devas especially, they intervene, they fight against the Asuras. So we have lots of nice, interesting stories and everything. But the idea is that the people who are under the influence of greed, they want something, some special material benefits, they tend to worship Asuras. Then we have the people who are under the influence of ignorance, darkness, stupidity, illusion. They worship the ghosts. Now, the difference between, the asuras and the ghosts is that the ghosts are even less powerful than human beings.
Okay.
Asuras are more powerful than human beings. Okay, yeah, that's we know. But ghosts are less powerful than human beings. So if you are strong enough, you can kick them out. Yeah, you can kick them around. You don't need to be afraid of no ghost, like the Ghostbusters song, I ain't afraid of no ghost, because in fact ghosts are not as powerful as human beings can be.
This means like the people then is attacked about asura, so demons,
ghosts,
like only the ghosts, only different they can.
They're weak.
Can see is like the energy they can give you.
Yeah, because the ghost is sucking your energy.
Yeah.
It works with your energy. It's sucking your energy out and using your energy, using your mind, to do stuff. The asura doesn't need to suck your energy. He has a lot of energy by himself. So we find, like the people we are not talking about, there is some asura that has some ghosts working for him.
Okay.
Now, God is more powerful than the ghosts and the asuras. Human beings are more powerful than ghosts, but God is more powerful than ghosts and asuras. So if we get, the direct energy from God, we can also defeat the asuras. If we just access our own energy, personal energy, we can defeat the ghosts. But to defeat the asuras, we need to get the power directly from God, from the source. Like I was mentioning at the time, when we were talking about the amount of electricity watts that you can get from, to operate your machinery. As long as you have only to operate small machineries like charging your phone battery or, using your electric toothbrush, you can go on your own power bank, your own battery.
It seems you mean like the for the feet that Asuras.
Yes.
We need to bring more powerful and more connected with God.
Yeah.
But for the feet of the ghost,
yeah.
we can use our energy.
We can use our energy. Of course, some people have a big battery, some people have a small battery.
Okay.
You know, but there is a limit to the battery you can have.
Okay.
And you don't have that limit if you connect directly with the power plant, the electrical power plant. Because that is the unlimited power.
And when you said like we can connect with the powerful of God for
through Tantra and Yoga. Yeah.
Asuras, like you means like we need to meditate or mantras, some kind of
yeah, you need to focus on God, and the name of God is God.
Okay.
So when we chant the Maha Mantra, the names of God, like Om Namah Shivaya, we are connecting directly with Shiva Mahadev, which is a personality of God, you know, which is God. Mm-hmm. And we are directly connected with the electricity power plant. And every bad guy out there will be scared. Because they cannot withstand that power, because they're not connected to the electrical plant. They're not connected to electrical power plant, you know, the system, the main system. They just have a bigger battery than ordinary human beings. You understand?
In case if you said like we can mantra the, for example, Shiva mantra,
yeah,
we can make that battle with the Asuras. We can.
Yes, we do.
Win.
Yeah, we can.
But Mataji, just you know, like obviously some of the Asuric people and like even Ravan in history,
yes,
they prayed to Mahadev, didn't they? So like they're also connected to that as well, you see.
Not really, because there are two levels of bhakti. One is the material bhakti and one is the spiritual bhakti. Like what I was telling before when we were talking about meditation. If you meditate on the personality of God that is present in your chakra, if you have not realized that you are God, you are separate. You're not really connected. It's a lower level of bhakti.
So both good and bad are praying to Mahadev, but I suppose it's what is your intention of praying, isn't it? I guess.
Well, not just that. It's not just that. Okay. Even if you have a good intention, maybe Mahadev will be more inclined to help you because that's the job of the devas. You know, to do good for the universe, for all the, you know, that is what God tells us to do, to work for the benefit of everyone. So, if you ask something that is for the benefit of everyone, that is already in God's plan.
This is want to explain is that people that pray for Mahadev too, but with the different intention. It means like they are God, and when they pray a mantra, if one specific intention of on the bad way, this is like is not powerful.
It's not powerful, and it's not a good connection. Okay, let's do one thing. Like, for example, you know, you were talking about good intention or bad intention. Okay, we know that good intentions plus ignorance is not a good mix.
Yeah.
Because I can have the best intentions of the world and still make a mess and cause unnecessary suffering to innocent people. So the good intention is not sufficient. We need to have sufficient realization, sufficient knowledge, sufficient realization to understand what we are actually trying to accomplish, what is our actual intention, what is, because if our intention is based on duality, okay, let's say someone, is praying or meditating or trying to accomplish something that they believe is good for everyone, like let me become a dictator, destroy all dissent and all those I think they're my enemies, personal enemies, and prohibit whatever I don't like, blah blah, because I am thinking, or I believe that in that way people will be happy. It's a good intention, but it's stupid. It's not really for the benefit of everyone, because we don't know. We have ignorant and false conceptions, ideas. So we need to get the proper knowledge, the proper understanding, and the proper realization. We need to understand that everything is a part of God, and we are also parts of God. And we need to understand what God wants. What is the purpose of this world? What is the real benefit for all beings? Otherwise, we can have the best intentions and still make a big mess. Is that clear? So we need to have both. We need to have good intentions and the proper knowledge and realization. If we have that, then our power can really be, effective. Okay, any other questions on this subject?
No.
It's all clear.
Yeah.
Okay, now coming to the personalities of God. We said that God is one, but has many forms, many names, many, we could say, qualities or functions, characteristics, activities. Okay, just like, an ordinary human being. Let's take, William. Okay. When William was born, he had a particular form, and then his parents and family were calling him Little Billy. Okay, now he grows up, he goes to the school, now he has William, Brown. Okay, name and family name and surname. So when the teacher at school is calling William for, exams or something, he's called by either both names or by family name. And William is wearing a uniform to go to school. And he's a student. He's not a child, he's not a baby, he's a student. He's he can be 10, 15, 18, whatever, And his form will be different, but he's always the same person. And his clothes will be different, but he's always the same person. The names must appear different, but he's always the same person. Then let's say that William finds a girlfriend. The girlfriend is not going to call him William, he's going to call him Honey. dear, or whatever. That's also a name. So when his girlfriend is saying honey, he knows that she means him. She doesn't want some sweetener in her tea. You understand? So this is the point. And so after going to school, going the exams, William can become a lawyer, and then he will have a specific form and name and whatever, then doctor, whatever, attorney, solicitor, barrister, whatever, And then he might become a judge, a magistrate. Then his dress will be different and he will be called Your Honor. But not by everyone. Because for his parents he will still be Little Willie. For his wife he will still be Honey. And for his children he will be Dad. For his grandchildren he will be Grandpa. And the form will also look different. And the activities he will do in the courtroom are different from the activities he will do in his bed at night, or he will do with his grandchildren playing in the park. You understand? So God is always one. And he is all these things at the same time, and it's not just he, it's also a she. There is no separation between he and she. So you cannot see Shiva without Shakti. And in fact, there is a specific form that is in Hindu iconography that is called Ardhanarishwara, which is half the body is Shiva and half the body is Shakti, is Parvati. You may have seen it. If you have not, I can, it's not so difficult to find. It's very popular. So God has many names, many forms, and we can connect with any specific name or form of God with the understanding, with the realization that is a form of the one God. Otherwise, it's not going to work in the same way. Okay, so we need to have the realization and the good intention, and then we can actually connect better with God. But this is why knowledge is important. Knowledge and realization is important. It's not just chanting a mantra like a magic formula. Just not a matter of unblocking a chakra. We can discuss about chakras. I think we did a little bit last time, but we can again go over the subject at length. We can discuss about that. So the idea is that we can focus on the particular form or energy of God that is connected to a particular type of consciousness that we have in our body. You know that each one of the various chakras is characterized by a specific type of consciousness. You know that. Okay, so we have the Muladhara chakra, which is a root chakra. Okay. Oh, by the way, it's not chakra, it's chakra. Because CH...
That one is from me.
Yeah, it's a French... many people say chakra, because they think it's French. But it's not French, it's Sanskrit. It's a different language. So, the Muladhara chakra is a root chakra that is connected to survival, to the physical survival of the body, eating and pooping, basically. No? And and that is controlled by the form of God that we call Ganesh. And I think that the Bija mantra for Ganesh is Lam. We can check. I don't remember because I'm not doing this practice specifically. But when we focus on that chakra, we live in that chakra. Our Kundalini is sitting in that chakra, sleeping usually in that chakra. Kundalini, Kunda means basin, lake, pond. What is the Kundalini? Kundalini has the form of a snake, but is the energy of the mother goddess. Is our, female energy. The female energy is not coming from us, but it stays in our body, just like God is staying in our heart as a Paramatma. So the Kundalini that is present in our body is usually sleeping in the root chakra. Why it is shown as a snake? Because just like a snake is raising the head and going upwards when it's awake, the same does Kundalini. So when we evolve our consciousness and we start to think and feel something above the simple survival of the body, the Kundalini starts to wake up and, starts to enter the second chakra, that is the Swadhisthana chakra, which is the place where usually people live, even animals.
Explain me, how can you wake up that Kundalini?
By consciousness. You practice meditation on the higher aspects of life. You go beyond the simple survival, eating and pooping. When you start to try to find happiness, pleasure, it's usually a natural evolution. Even animals actually, come to the point of the Swadhisthana chakra because they look for pleasure, not just survival. So the Swadhisthana chakra is the chakra of pleasure, gratification, sense gratification, emotions.
Yes. Because now I think you have a few people in that planet, a lot. They said they do a practice, then they said you can wake up that Kundalini inside of your body and make them more
active,
aware and active.
Aware. Yeah.
This is a real.
Well, it depends. There are meditations, techniques, and especially the prana. You can energize. You can send the prana in one chakra deliberately. Usually the prana stays in that chakra, but you can also move it up, like we do when we do this astral traveling. We become conscious. Tell.
A lot of people said when we do that Kundalini wake up, we feel this and that, and I like to try them.
Yeah, it's possible, but it's also possible that they convince themselves.
Yeah, because I don't feel nothing.
It depends because you can, actually have an experience, or you can also just imagine you're having that experience. It's like breathing. Okay, breathing is usually automatic, but you can deliberately control your breathing. But you can also convince yourself you're controlling your breathing and you're not. You think you're controlling your prana, but you're not.
In that case, you want to tell us like that awakeness of Kundalini we can do by ourselves.
Oh, definitely. That's a very natural thing. We can just do it by consciousness, by yoga. Okay. Yoga means that you focus your attention on a higher chakra. And that's where your mind goes, your prana will go.
Okay.
Which is, pretty natural, but you can direct it. Again, like breathing, your breathing will go where it wants to go, but you can also take it there. You can also focus it there deliberately. So if we focus our awareness on a particular state of consciousness, we focus our guna and karma towards that level of consciousness, then we'll focus there, we'll stay there. Kundalini will focus there and we'll sit there. We'll remain there most prominently. The natural evolution of the soul starts from the simple survival to the search for pleasure, happiness, emotions, feelings, all these, Swadhisthana chakra things. Then when we evolve even more, we go through to the solar chakra, solar plexus. That is the Manipura chakra. The Manipura chakra is the solar plexus, is the a little bit above the stomach, but below the heart. And it's a place where you feel pain when you are repressed, when you are oppressed. That's the place where people get ulcers, gastric ulcers, ulcers to the stomach, when they're very frustrated in life. Because their Manipura chakra is suffering, is blocked by the oppression, by the frustration, the dissatisfaction, and the lack of power. The lack of personal power. They don't know what they are. They have a very low self-esteem. They have a very low self-awareness, self-affirmation. And sometimes these people can also go to overcompensate. So they develop a superiority complex. They become control freaks. They want to control others because they cannot control themselves.
In that case, you said we can balance like the solar with the power and identity of.
Yeah, we can do it naturally by cultivating a healthy self-esteem, and we can also help by focusing our prana on the solar chakra and by meditating on the on Surya. On the deity, on the form of the deity that is manifesting in that chakra. Then, when we evolve even further, we come to the chakra of the heart, which is the Anahata chakra. The Anahata chakra is the chakra of the heart.
Yeah, the love.
Exactly. Love is not concerned with self-affirmation, because when you are actually happy with yourself, you can actually love other people. Otherwise you cannot love other people.
But love is love is not means like in the one specific word.
Love is not needy.
It's more like about trust and healing and compassion and connection.
Compassion and connection. Trust, it doesn't necessarily have to be trust. Because you can love people you cannot trust. Yeah. Because you have love, but this love is manifesting in wanting them to be happy and healthy. And that healing is yes. Trust, if you can still heal a patient without trusting the patient. You can still love stupid people even if you know they're stupid. They're going to do, stupid things. If how can you trust? You don't give them your wallet or your car keys because you know that you cannot trust them. But still you love them. Like you said, he's stupid but he's mine.
He can balance the chakras like with that mantras, like for example.
We don't balance the chakra. This is the problem. People think that you need to keep all your chakras working perfectly and balance the chakra so you're not anywhere in any chakra, but in all of them at the same time. It's not working like that. You must focus on one chakra. Where is your consciousness? If you're working from the heart, you cannot be equally concerned about your personal physical survival. Of course, you're not going to reject your physical survival, but you're not focused on that. You're not focused on sense gratification. You're not focused on your needy feelings, your emotions, you're just focused on love, being like a sun, like radiating power and, love and compassion. But you're not radiating power, you're radiating love and compassion. So you don't need to balance the chakras. You need to evolve through the chakras. Like, if you see how a human being develops as a fetus, as an embryo. A human being starts, like a monocell organism, like microbes, like amoebas, and then, becomes more specialized and, looks like a fish, you see all the embryos of all the animals go, they have these early stages of development. Then, they differentiate. And the human beings goes up the evolutionary scale during the pregnancy. At some point, you can see the embryo of a human being is exactly the same like the embryo of a dolphin or a pig or a dog. Exactly the same. Still, I think at 3 months, 4 months pregnancy, something like that. Then, it develops more, it becomes more human. The head takes a particular shape, the arms and the legs develop in a different way from those of a dolphin. So at some point you come to the end of the 9 months when the baby is ready to become, to come out, and it's definitely a human being. You can see that it's a human being. But it's not a human being before that. But the human being has gone through all these stages. So we as human beings still have 3 parts of our brain. We have the reptilian part of our brain, and we have the mammalian part of our brain, and then we have the human part of our brain. So we are still all of them. We are the sum total of the evolution. But not the evolution like all the other beings. Our evolution. We've been fish. We've been reptilians. We've been mammalians. We have, and we have become human beings. The same with the chakras. We have gone through the survival instinct, and we still have some of that. But we are not focusing equally on all these levels of consciousness. And we see how it goes still further. So, higher than the chakra of the heart, the Anahata chakra, we have the Vishuddha chakra, which is the chakra of the throat, which is the power of sound, the power of speech, but not just speech because we know how to talk. The sound has many levels of power. The sound is more powerful than the light. We mentioned the laser properties. Now you need some special equipment, instruments to channel light into a laser beam. But you can just use your physical body to channel the sound into a vibration that can break glass, for example.
In that case, with that powerful, the sound of the powerful,
yeah,
in our body, it means like when we pray to God, like when we meditate for God,
we chant the mantra.
Sound, when that sound, then we make it.
Is very powerful.
More powerful, more connected.
This is a higher function of the human body that people don't know.
When we pray, when we meditate,
we chant. When we chant,
we're supposed to make the sound, not just the sound.
No, not necessarily. Because the Vishuddha chakra has properties that are not just within the range of the normal hearing. It has higher properties.
Okay.
Like, for example, the human body can actually produce infrasounds, double sounds.
In that case, you don't agree, for example, if you have a room full of people to mantra in silence is not equally powerful than you have like that room full of people to meditate with the sound, exterior sound.
It's actually more powerful.
In silence?
Yeah, if they really do it. If they know how to do it.
Yeah, that one is a problem.
Yeah, because if they're just thinking they're doing it, it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
So you have to be in the Vishuddha chakra to do that.
And what is the techniques then you advise for the people in general to meditate more powerful, connected with God, or
the Maha Mantras. Chant the names of God, and try to do, all the other helpful practices, but it's important to do it under the guidance of someone expert, which could be, if you have a qualified guru, is the best. If you don't have an actual guru qualified that is actually teaching you directly, personally, practically, then you can get guidance from the scriptures. But you need to have the proper guidance, otherwise you're just fantasizing, you're imagining, you're projecting, but that's, maybe you can do the right thing, but it's not easy. It's like, it's compared to the fact that, they say, just imagine that once a year a tortoise comes to the surface on the ocean.
In that case, for example, if you have two different peoples, like for example me and Dalip, we meditate with different mantras. For example, I meditate with the Ganesha mantra, and he meditates with Shiva mantra. You means like both of them is powerful, or like meditate with Shiva mantra is more powerful than Ganesha mantra, for example. Just
Okay, much depends on if you're actually meditating on Shiva and Ganesh. If you're just imagining you're meditating on Shiva and Ganesh. But when you meditate on the Maha Mantra, the names of God, you have to try to remove all our other things from your mind. Just focus on that. Dharana, dhyana. Just focus on the name. And Ganesh is a secondary manifestation of Shiva. So let's make an example that Shiva is a nuclear power plant that makes electricity to the source, and Ganesh is a power tower that is transmitting that energy. It's still very powerful, but it's not the source.
You means like all the people they don't know, like if they do in the correct way, or if they do with the correct mantra.
Yeah.
Like in general, if they do any mantra with connect with God,
yeah,
both of them is gonna be powerful if you have connection and in like.
Some connection will be there. The degree of the connection, the directness of the connection, the strength of the connection, the type of power that your cable can hold are all things that, the factors in the result.
And in that case, if anyone coming to you for external persons, then you have enough knowledge about God or about meditation. What kind of mantra you advise for that people then you don't have enough knowledge for try to.
I'm always advising the Panchakshara mantra for Shiva, which is Om Namah Shivaya, because Shiva is the personality of God that is most compassionate, most accessible. He helps everyone. He refuses no one.
You means like any person then coming to you to learn more, have more knowledge, the first thing, then you would connect that specific man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's the easiest. It's the most, Shiva is very compassionate. Vishnu is not as compassionate as Shiva. No other form. Yeah, you can have the mother goddess form, but it's all Shiva. Again, Shiva Shakti, you cannot separate them. But Shiva is for everyone, even Vaishnavas recognize that Shiva is the Param Guru, is the supreme Guru of everyone, the Vishwa Guru. So that's why, I start with that.
For example, someone that is coming to you don't have that knowledge, and you can guide them.
Yeah, it's the same. They start, and then, better if they also develop the knowledge, they also acquire the knowledge, because, you'll be able to operate better if you have knowledge. Everyone can use, let's say, a computer.
Yeah.
But depending on the knowledge you have, the things that you can do.
Yeah. And it important the people who have that knowledge for connect.
That's exactly the point. That's exactly the point.
Conscious and aware about everything around and about everything inside. Is correct?
Yeah. Well, Yeah, well, everything is a little difficult as a definition.
And for example, in that project, then you start to do it, or to idealize for do it, like about the university, like that specific classes about the subject, about the university, or in the university. It means like you gonna explain all that knowledge in that subject, and you're gonna explain like the source of everything.
University means my project of the Vedic Research Center and the Vedic University, blah blah blah, is going to be mostly academic, because university means academic, means knowledge. I will be available, like I'm available now, to help people personally on a personal relationship, but that's not specifically academic. Even if someone doesn't want to study much, to have much knowledge, like, we had this relationship for some time now, and I was not particularly, based on academic knowledge. But still I can have personal relationship with people. But academic is different, because academic means, we can say, rigorous.
Yeah.
It's not just on the level of feelings. And I can do the thinking, the meditation, the evaluation, blah blah blah. If you don't want to do that, it's okay. I mean, I can do it. But if you want to do it, you need to have the instruments. Like when you want to work with electricity, it's not that everybody has to be a very expert electrical engineer. You can work with the expert electrical engineer and, prepare the tools and, get the pieces and, you connect this, connect that, you do this, you do that. But, you need to be told what to do. But if you get the proper instruments, the proper knowledge, then you can do it by yourself.
In that case, you think that project then you want to start?
Yeah.
One in the university is going to be good for the people that are born in the Hindu culture, but they don't know.
For everyone, because even Indian people are not necessarily in the proper knowledge. They may have second-hand knowledge of opinion of others and ideas, their own ideas and ideas of others. They have, sometimes I get so confused and messed up, especially due to the influence of Abrahamic ideologies, Abrahamic and post-Abrahamic, that have been imposed on Indian society for a very long time. So, when they are confused, we need to clarify. You see, does this answer your question?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so I think this is a nice bunch of information for today. Any other question? Any other comment? Request? Objection? Not today.
That is all good, Mataji. Thank you for that.
So good. All solid. Okay, so thanks, and we can meet again for another episode.